Ever wished you had one of those crystal balls, you know,
Yeah.
the kind that shows you the future? Well, today's deep dive is about something like that.
Hmm.
We're going to be talking about this huge scientific puzzle. People have even been calling it like the holy grail of chemistry or something.
Yeah, had to get
And how a few scientists used AI to figure it out.
It's not just some, theoretical science project either. We're talking about proteins, like the stuff that makes life work.
Okay, hold on a sec. Proteins are important. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's this big puzzle?
All right, so picture this. You've got this chain of beads, and it can like fold itself up into this crazy, complicated three-dimensional shape. That's a protein.
Okay.
And for decades, scientists have been trying to just look at the order of those beads.
The amino acids.
Right, the amino acid sequence.
Yeah.
And from that, they want to know what that 3D shape is going to be.
So it's like, I'm trying to picture this. It's like you've got a box of Legos,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to guess what it makes just by looking at all the pieces all jumbled up.
Yeah, except proteins are way more complicated than Legos.
Yeah, I bet. And that shape you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what determines what the protein does, right?
Yeah.
Like how it fights off infections or how plants use sunlight.
Exactly. And that's why knowing that shape is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crucial.
Got it. So knowing the shape is key.
Mm.
But why is it so hard to just, look at it under a microscope?
Well, it's not quite that easy.
Oh, really?
We do have ways to figure out protein structures, experiments and stuff, but they take forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really expensive. Imagine trying to learn a whole new language just by like deciphering one word at a time. Super slow.
Scientific bottleneck then. So how did these Nobel Prize winners crack the code?
Okay, so that's where Demis Hassabis and John Jumper come in. These two are from Google DeepMind, and they're like the masterminds behind this AI system. It's called AlphaFold.
AlphaFold, okay.
And you can basically feed AlphaFold the amino acid sequence, and bam, it tells you what the 3D shape of the protein is going to be.
Hold on. So they made a protein predicting machine,
Pretty much.
like a super origami master or something.
Yeah, it's like they can look at a flat piece of paper and tell you exactly how to fold it into a swan or whatever.
Amazing. So how accurate are we talking here?
Super accurate. It's honestly incredible. It's just as good as those experiments,
Wow.
but way faster and way cheaper.
Okay, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But in our sources,
Mm-hmm.
the CNN article and that research paper we have, there's another scientist, David Baker. He also won the Nobel Prize. What did he do?
So AlphaFold is all about predicting the shape.
Right.
Baker went in a totally different direction. He figured out how to make new proteins.
What?
Yeah, proteins that don't even exist in nature.
So if AlphaFold is reading the language of proteins, then Baker's writing it.
Yeah, designing proteins with custom-made shapes to do certain jobs.
So this is getting kind of sci-fi, isn't it?
I know, right?
We've got AI predicting protein structures and scientists making up brand new ones.
It's pretty amazing.
What does this mean for the average person, though? Why should we care?
Oh, it gets even better. This isn't just some abstract scientific discovery. This could change everything. Think about it. Faster drug discovery. New vaccines for diseases that we can't even touch right now.
Mm-hmm.
Designer enzymes that can, clean up pollution.
So it's like a scientific earthquake,
Yeah,
and the effects are going to be felt everywhere.
exactly. Medicine, the environment, you name it.
So we've gone from like scientists hunched over their microscopes for years to AI just spitting out answers
Right.
like it's nothing.
It's mind-blowing how fast things are changing.
It really is. It's like someone just handed us this super powerful magnifying glass to look at all these tiny little pieces of life.
Yeah.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though,
Sure.
can you remind me how scientists were figuring out these protein shapes before AlphaFold? What were those old school methods that took so long?
Oh, yeah. So one of the main ways was this thing called X-ray crystallography.
X-ray crystallography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, imagine you've got a protein and you crystallize it, so it's all solid. Then you shoot X-rays at it,
Okay.
and you look at how the X-rays bounce off, or diffract. That's the word they use.
So it's like trying to figure out what a statue looks like
Mm-hmm.
by shining a flashlight on it in the dark?
Exactly, but this is like a statue made of thousands of atoms.
Oh, wow.
Super complicated, right? You need tons of fancy equipment and years of training to even try to understand it all. And even then, sometimes the proteins are stubborn, they don't even want to crystallize.
Talk about a pain. Okay, so AlphaFold just bypasses all of that.
Pretty much.
So how does it work then? Does it have some kind of super microscope inside?
Nope. Even cooler. It's actually this thing called a neural network, which is a type of AI, artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay. So it's like a computer program that learns, right?
Yeah, just like our brains. Well, sort of.
But how do you teach a computer program to predict a protein shape?
Data. Tons and tons of data. They fed AlphaFold all this information about protein structures. Stuff scientists spent decades figuring out with those old methods.
So it's like showing a computer a million origami animals.
Right.
And then it figures out the rules.
Yeah. But it's not just memorizing. It's actually learning the fundamental, physics of how those amino acids interact. Like how they fold based on their shape and their charge and stuff.
Wild.
Ugh.
The paper we have, though, it uses some pretty intense language.
Yeah, scientists love their jargon.
One thing it mentions is graph inference problems.
Uh-huh.
And something called an evoformer block. What's that all about?
I know it sounds super complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple.
Okay.
Imagine you're looking at a protein.
Yeah.
And it's like this network of dots all connected.
Okay.
Each dot is an amino acid, and the lines between them are the forces and stuff holding them together.
So like a map with cities and roads.
Exactly. And AlphaFold looks at that map and it's like, okay, this is the most likely way all these amino acids are arranged in 3D space. It's like solving a puzzle.
And this evoformer block you're talking about,
Yeah.
that's part of how it solves the puzzle.
Exactly. And that evo part, that stands for evolution.
I was wondering about that. So it looks at a protein's history.
Exactly. And that's what makes this evoformer block so cool. It's not just looking at one protein all by itself.
Huh.
It's looking at tons of similar proteins from different animals.
Oh, wow.
It's like tracing the protein's family tree.
I see.
And by doing that, it can figure out which parts of the protein have stayed the same over millions of years, which means those parts are probably important.
That makes sense. The important parts are less likely to change over time, right?
Right. So it gives AlphaFold even more clues to work with. Like if you're trying to figure out a puzzle and someone tells you, hey, these pieces over here, they're definitely in the right place.
Yeah, that would help.
Right. And then the researchers took it even further.
Oh, yeah. What else did they do?
They had AlphaFold learn from its own predictions.
What? How does that even work?
So it would make a prediction about a protein's structure, and then it would look at how accurate it was.
Okay.
And use that information to get even better. It's like practicing something over and over again.
So it gets better each time.
Exactly. Like imagine you're learning to play the piano.
Okay.
You wouldn't just play the same song once and then quit, right? You'd practice, figure out where you messed up, and try to improve.
That's how you get better. Makes sense.
And it's the same with AlphaFold. And all of that led to this incredible breakthrough.
Yeah, this is already so much to wrap my head around. But I'm still curious. How does this actually help us in the real world? Like, how does knowing about protein shapes actually make a difference?
Oh, that's the best part. It's not just theoretical. This has real-world implications everywhere.
So it's like we've gone from this place where figuring out a single protein structure was like this huge endeavor.
Right.
To now we've got AI just cranking them out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What does that even mean for the future, though? Like, how does this actually help us?
Oh, man, the possibilities are endless. Imagine a world where we can design drugs that are, perfectly tailored to, target the exact protein involved in a disease.
So less side effects.
Exactly.
Right.
Way fewer side effects. It's like using a scalpel instead of a sledgehammer.
Much more precise.
Exactly. And think about all those diseases that we haven't been able to treat.
Yeah.
This could be the key, now that we can actually see those drug targets so clearly.
It's pretty exciting to think about, especially for people dealing with chronic illnesses.
Absolutely. And speaking of exciting, what about faster vaccine development?
Oh, yeah. Our sources mention that. That's huge.
Right. Imagine being able to respond to new viruses so much faster.
That would be incredible.
AlphaFold could really change how we fight off pandemics.
Wow. So from medicine to fighting pandemics, what about the environment? Any up there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This has huge implications for the environment.
Okay.
Imagine creating enzymes, like proteins that can break stuff down.
Right.
But these enzymes are designed to, eat up plastic.
What?
Or capture carbon from the air. Things like that.
That's amazing. So it's not just about understanding life.
Right.
It's about shaping the future of life on Earth.
Exactly. It's like protein engineering is a whole new frontier for innovation.
It is a lot of power, though, to be able to do all that.
Yeah, we have to be careful. Just because we can do something doesn't mean we should,
Yeah.
We got to think about the ethics of all of this.
Yeah, like who gets access to this technology?
Mm-hmm.
What are the unintended consequences? We need to be asking those questions.
For sure. It's like we're standing at the beginning of something totally new. and we need to be responsible.
Absolutely. Well, this deep dive has been quite the ride. We've covered a lot of ground,
We really have.
from how proteins fold to AlphaFold and even David Baker's work. It really feels like a revolution in science,
It does, doesn't it? Full of challenges, opportunities, a lot of unknowns still.
which is exciting. It's not every day we get to witness something like this.
It really isn't. It's amazing to see what humans can do when we put our minds together.
That's for sure. And who would have thought that AI would be the key to understanding proteins?
I know, right? It just goes to show that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the most unexpected places.
That's a great place to wrap up, I think. That's it for today's deep dive, everyone. Be sure to check out the show notes if you want to learn more.
Yeah, we've got links to all the articles we talked about.
And until next time, stay curious.